Hey, all's Kingsdown Ferrets here. It's been quite a while since we've had one of these updates, so let's run through everything that's been happening in the Ferretry over the last couple of months. And as usual, let's run through a few of your questions that have been asked throughout the social media accounts. So let's get to it. There's no nursery update in this video because the nursery season and the breeding season is well and truly over for Kingsdown Ferrets. We have chosen to keep Enoki as our retention from this year's litters. She is an absolute chunk, coming in at around 1.2 kilograms at only 16 or so weeks old. She's quite large lengthwise, but the weight comes in, she's an absolute chunk inside, pretty solid. And she has lovely sandy colours and a really nice semi-Angora fluffy coat. Enoki. So she'll go into the breeding programme, and next year probably she'll have a litter of her own. Boop, boop. We also have Biscotti, and she is with us possibly temporarily, possibly permanently. Biscotti had an issue. She was about to be rehomed, but a couple of days before she was due to be rehomed, she developed an ear infection. Quite a bad ear infection, which gave her loss of balance and a tilted head. So she spent a few weeks on antibiotics and a few vet visits. She's fine now, but it did mean that we gave the owners the opportunity to take a different pet instead of Biscotti, or they could wait for Biscotti, but as you might expect, they were keen to start their ferret journey, so they took Macaroon instead, and Biscotti stayed here with us. So Biscotti is fine now, but you can sort of see she still has a little tilt to her head when she's looking upwards. It has absolutely zero impact on her physical and her coordination capabilities. But sometimes, especially when they're younger, if they get an ear infection, the brain relearns a tilt as a bit of a new normal, and it can stay post the end of the illness. But she is technically still available, and we will consider whether she finds a good home or whether she stays here with us. Ouchie! So as a result of the breeding being over for this season, we have now reclaimed what was the nursery shed back into my sort of gym stroke storage shed. No signs of nursery, and all of the cages are all packed up and stored away underneath, ready to be used next season. So elsewhere in the Ferretry, Binky here came back into season yet again. So this is her fourth time she's come into season this spring and summer. So we sent her off this time to visit a vasectomized hob, and they did the deed and it took her out of season. So she'll be going through yet another phantom pregnancy following that, but hopefully it's a little bit late in the season into the summer now that once she finishes this phantom pregnancy, she will not come back into season again. No fifth season for you, eh? No. Thank you. On the positive side, you may see in the background here, Rumble, whilst he is still very much showing himself as being in season, he's chilled out an awful lot. So he's quite fine living now with Binky and his daughter Jelly. And so they get on fairly well, which is good because now he's got somebody to play with, and easy on our space not to have to keep all these lots separate. So a little family unit, because that's the dad, Binky's the mum, and Jelly is the baby. So they have a little bit of a fractious relationship, as you can see. She gives him a little nip every now and then, but they get on perfectly fine, and they can keep their distance if necessary. He actually gets on pretty well with most of the other girls in the main group, but they live with the other boys, and Rumble does not get on well with the other boys, regardless of whether he's in rut or not, so they don't spend much time together. Key doesn't really get on with a few of the girls and boys, so she's quite happy to stay separate to them and live with her daughter Jelly and Rumble. Jelly, she's quite feisty and she has a very particular thing for jalapeno. Jelly does not like jalapeno and quite aggressively hunts her down and fights with her. So Jelly has also removed from the main group for the majority of the time. So again, she lives with her mum and her dad. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take jalapeno out and I'll put Jelly in with the main group, just so she maintains a bit of a bond and doesn't get completely ostracised from that group in case I need to combine them at certain points. As we had mentioned previously, one of our ferrets, Muffin here, has lymphoma, and he's a little bit older. He's 6 years old, but he's, because of his illness, he's slowed down quite a bit and sleeps a lot and is not as energetic and as active as he used to be. But we're treating him with medication, with prednisolone, these tablets twice a day, morning and evening. But luckily enough, he's a pretty good patient when it comes to his meds. They have one med that is split in half, and he gets half in the morning, half in the evening. What we do is we just split the medicine in half and we split it again into quarters. Just get something that he likes to eat. In this case, we just use a bit of salmon paste on a finger. Stick the two medicine quarters for this morning session into that. And then pretty much just eats the whole thing. Pretty easily, really, for medicine giving. Well done. Is that good, Muffin? Well done. You missed a bit. We used to scruff him and open his throat and throw it down and then let him drink some salmon oil afterwards, which is another good technique if they don't eat it from the paste, but that's a far more aggressive manner because you've got to ram it down his throat and make him swallow. But the salmon paste method, he quite enjoys it. Right, off you go. So another issue with Muffin and his lymphoma is that he's down on his weight. He's quite a bit skinnier than he used to be. In the summer he used to sit around 1,050 grams and in the winter about 1,250. But at the moment this summer he's sitting around 950, so he's down about 10%, about 100 grams down on his usual, and you can definitely feel it. He's got no fat under his skin. You can feel his ribs and things, but it's not a terrible weight, so we're keeping an eye on that. As for the rest of the gang, it's pretty much business as usual. Most of them are out here in the grove enjoying this warm summer day. They're all getting on fine. Not much change with the rest of the gang, the adults. Luckily, they are getting on tremendously well with the new kids. There's Inoki and Biscotti down there. No real issues there, so that's good. The grove itself suffering a little bit from all the heat waves we've been getting, so it's not exactly booming with greenery, but still plenty of places for them to dig and hide and have fun. And the girls and boys. Twiglet. Ooh. Bourneville came to say hello. We're in the height of summer now, and the problem with that is the heat brings the flies. So whenever we put down their meat for dinner, we get flies all over the place, which is a real ball ache. Now, we quite often put out fly traps and they're very successful. Bit of meat in water there and it collects huge quantities of flies. But what problem we've had this year is that the wasps, it's not just flies, so the wasps arrive and they also want to eat the meat, and at this point in the season they have a protein craving, so the wasps go after the meat, so we try and trap them as well. Later on in the season the wasps will start developing a sweet tooth, and we'll change the traps to be rather sugar, water and jam based to trap those wasps. But at the moment the main way to deal with them is to just put the meats down in the evening, as we do, so the ferrets can eat them when it's dark, when the flies and the wasps are not really active, and then we collect up whatever's left in the morning so that we don't attract too many flying pests. Okay, so let's jump to a few of your questions. Sleepy Panda 745 asks, I was just wondering if you could keep intact male ferrets together if you had a big space for them. Well, pretty much no. In the rut season, once male ferrets are in rut, then they're pretty much solitary animals. The majority of males will get pretty randy, and even if they don't aggressively fight each other, they'll still probably try to hump each other. So male ferrets in season need to be kept in isolation from pretty much everybody, whether that is intact or not intact males, intact or not intact females. As you'd expect, there's individual characteristics at play, so you'll always find some intact hobs that could probably live with others, but in general the answer is no. Alpine Flare asks, I'm planning to get a litter box for my ferrets and wanted to ask, how high should the sides of the ferret litter box be to prevent them from pooping over the edge or the wall? So we use cat litter boxes everywhere, and you can get high back ones, but in general we don't have much of a problem. Even though ferrets do reverse into a litter box, they very rarely, if ever, poop outside of it. It generally just goes onto the floor. Let's have a quick look at our version. Here's two varieties that we use. They're a bit messy, sorry, but this is a high back one, so that's about 6 inch, 8 inch maybe high at the back, and this is a standard one, so this is maybe 3 or 4 inches high. The ferrets never poop out the side of this one, so we think this is more than sufficient. If we put jelly in, it gives you a bit more of a scale as to how high that back really is. Oh, there you go, she's actually going to use it for us. No, she just did a wee, but basically there's nothing going over the top of that. If space is an issue, or you have an indoor cage, then you can get these special cage ones with little adapters for you to keep it tied to the cage. And it's more of a corner one, space saving, but you can see here, Jelly is demonstrating. Again, it's about 6 or 7 inches high at the back, and there's absolutely no chance of them pooping out of that. And that leads us quite neatly onto the next question, which is from Erica Marie 5535. Does the mom teach them where to use the bathroom, or do you have to train them? Well, it's a bit of both really, but ferrets don't have the same sort of litter instinct that cats do. What ferrets will try and do is just go to the litter, go to the toilet as far away from the bed as they can, because they are semi-clean animals. They don't want to poop in their bedding area. So what we do is we strategically place their litter at the opposite side of their bed when they are in the nursery. And so they will naturally come out of their bed and go as far away from it as they can, and they get to the litter. That gets them sort of used to the idea that standing on the litter material is where they go to the poop, and they'll also see their mum going there, and they'll smell the poops on the litter material, and they will tend to go in the same place. So the mum doesn't really teach them 100%, it's more of an instinct to get it away from their bedding material. Erica did ask a second question, which was, how do you train them to come when you make that sound? Do you offer treats at first? I think the sound that she's referring to is the bob bob sound I make. Bob, 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 bob. And I don't train on purpose, it's just a sound that I think resembles the sound that they make when they're happy, the duking noise. And basically I just say it all the time when they're growing up in the nursery. And they just get used to it, the sound being me arriving, and I usually bring food or playtime or something interesting, so they just get used to the sound being positive. And towards the end it means that I can make that sound and they'll come running, whether they're in the garden or in their nursery or anywhere. You remember? So it's not treat based, it's largely just me based, I guess. Hey Binks, you so sleepy. It's really hot today, so they don't have huge amounts of energy. Well, that's all for this week's update. I hope you found it interesting. Do remember to pop your questions in the comments below or elsewhere in our videos, and we'll answer them in a future update. But for now, ta-ra.